Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show we catch up with Master Chief and Faith in the Rundown.
Plus, the hit Japanese game Yokai Watch has landed in North America, and we've got a review.
And then we have a classified review of the new James Bond movie, Spectre.
007.
Q.
Also coming up, we have more 007 action with a classic review of Goldeneye 64. We catch up with Charlie Brown for a review of the Peanuts movie, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Marissa Roberto, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. I just got back from my third parkour lesson. I only broke 2 bones this time. It's okay, I'm ready to bring you the rundown. Attention Halo fans, don't expect the plot to thicken anytime soon. Halo 5 creative director Josh Holmes has revealed that they're not planning to make any single-player story DLC for the new game. He says there are no plans for future campaign content, so I guess that means we'll have to wait for the next Halo game to continue the story. The developers, however, are planning to deliver loads of new multiplayer DLC for Halo 5. All the extra maps for the game will be free, and expect the first to roll out soon. We're going to have to wait even longer for the new Mirror's Edge game. EA has delayed the release of Mirror's Edge Catalyst by 4 months. It was originally set to free run onto consoles in February 2016, but will now make the jump on May 24th, 2016. The developers say they need extra time to tweak some things in the game and make it as good as they promised. The delay isn't that bad when you consider that fans have already been waiting more than 7 years for the sequel. The first Mirror's Edge game came out back in 2008. It wasn't a big hit, but did develop a cult following large enough to get a sequel made. Hopefully, it will deliver. That's it for the rundown, but look who it is to bring us a little faith. It is Victor Lucas.
Oh, nice.
Like what I did there,
Yes.
Victor Lucas. What do you think about this 4 months delay for Mirror's Edge?
I'm okay with it. I think, the more that they take the time to make this a better game is a better solution for all of us, and I think it turns the game into a bigger event as well.
Yeah, I just feel like we've waited so long for it anyway, so I suppose it's not that big of a deal. Also, there wasn't a lot of hype behind the trailer when we saw it at E3, which was strange because we waited for so long.
There's a little bit too much kind of nostalgic, let's recreate or reproduce something that we've already experienced before, and that's something that they definitely have to get right with Mirror's Edge. It has to feel like a new piece of entertainment, something that we haven't, gone through before with Faith.
I just do not want them to ruin Faith for me. She's been such a hero or a heroine for me for so long, especially in the video game space, so I just don't want that to be ruined. I feel like it'll be okay though.
I think so too, and what a great story it will be for DICE to have Battlefront be separate from Battlefield and also have Mirror's Edge, and if all of those work like we hope that they do, they're going to be a really, really, really hot studio out there.
Well, from Faith to Chief, we have to talk about the fact there's going to be no story DLC, which is interesting because I do rely on a lot of story when it comes to the Halo franchise. I love Chief, I love his story, and I always want more of it, so I'm not sure about this DLC situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've got a huge franchise to kind of build up for the inevitable Halo 6, and they left a lot of plot threads at the end of Halo 5. I would have loved something that sort of focused on different characters, whether it was Locke or Buck or something like that, to give us just some fresh new content directions to go.
Side quest.
A little side quest. I think that would have been a great idea for those guys.
But the fact the maps are free and that everybody across the board can play them is huge. It's big news, especially for people that love playing online.
And truthfully, it's the multiplayer in Halo 5 that's the big deal. The story's okay. It's not the greatest, as Steve and I reviewed, but the multiplayer is phenomenal.
You heard it here. But now we've got to try on our watches. Oh, I actually wore a watch today. It's not my Yokai, though. I keep it in a safe place. Here's our review. That's named Yokai Watch, you feel like, oh, maybe I don't really want to jump into something like that, because what is yokai? I have a watch, I don't think I need a yokai watch.
A Pokemon style type of game where you are collecting things and you're pitting your yokai against other yokai. Yokai Watch, by the way, translates into Ghost Watch. So these are little ghosts that you're basically collecting and pitting against each other. And so you have that, but I think what they've done with the mechanic for the game is pretty interesting. Like this basic spinning wheel to choose which of your 3 yokai you're gonna pit against the other characters. And then doing various on-screen taps or swirls on your touchscreen makes the game a lot more dynamic and engaging, I find, than playing the Pokemon where you're basically doing a lot of turn-based and just waiting for stuff.
It's true, there's no waiting here. Once you jump into a battle, which happens quite often in this game, just like it does in Pokemon, you're in it. It tells you to grab your stylus, and you grab that stylus, and you go for it. There's so many quick time games that you're playing in the actual battle, which I think is so cool. But what I think is even cooler is the fact that they took this spirit, this ghost world, and they made it a reality where you feel like, man, you're walking around, there could be yokai hiding anywhere.
Yeah.
Could be yokai sitting on that bench right there. They just really flushed out this world and how like ghosts might actually affect the way humans interact with one another without them even knowing that they're there. I absolutely love that phenomenon.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job with the world design as well. I like that it basically looks like a little clock, I think, with everything sort of working, people milling about, people jogging on the track or shopping or whatever. I really like that. I like that sort of top-down aesthetic. You can tilt the camera a little bit, but you're right. It's like the yokai are hiding in every nook and cranny. And what's interesting is that they're affecting the mood of the regular everyday citizens. You even see at the beginning of the game, your parents are fighting, and there's this purple sort of mist around them, and it's because a yokai was making them dismal and they were fighting for no reason, and you fight Dismarella and you solve this problem, and there's various scenarios like that throughout the game, and I thought that was very cute, very clever, and also kind of connecting it to a reality that I can get into a little bit more than even the Pokemon stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
This one feels a little more real. You're right. It's like a working world around you that doesn't revolve around Pokemon, whereas in Pokemon it feels like everybody is all about Pokemon and everything revolves around Pokemon. This is a little more secretive. It's like you're part of the secret club.
Yes.
Because only you see the yokai, and you have your special Yokai Watch, where you collect all of these great yokai that not only are your friends that you befriend, because some of them actually want to be part of your team, they actually ask to be part of your team.
Yeah.
It's not like with Pokemon where you have to get them down to a certain level and then catch them. The yokai themselves have to actually want to be part of your team, and when they do, you can actually match up their attributes with other yokai that have the same, which makes them a lot more powerful while you're battling. This is just another great game to pick up for 3DS. I feel like the 3DS has given me so much love lately.
Yeah, it's having a great fall and winter season right now, isn't it?
Exactly, and if you're looking for something to get for a young one in your life, even for Christmas or the holiday season, this is a game.
I had a really good time with this, and I was not expecting to. What are you going to give Yokai Watch?
Well, I was expecting to have a good time with it, and I did. It's getting a 9.
I guess an 8.5 for me.
Oh man, you know what? I'm mildly addicted to that game.
Mildly.
Yes. Mildly.
Well, you were playing it at the theaters when we saw the Peanuts movie. We've got the review of that after the break.
Good grief.
I'm Doug TeNapel. I'm a graphic novelist and an animator. I was in 6th grade when I first saw the commercial come on the TV for Star Wars. On my little black and white TV, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I went to see the movie, and it was Phil Tippett's little puppet animated checkerboard scene between where they're playing that chess game between 3PO and Chewie that just blew my mind. And I felt joy in me. It changed my mind about story and movie, and it instantly sunk in so deep.
You made a fair move. Screaming about it can't help you.
Let him have it. It's not wise. Some sort of whoopee.
And it really was just a pure blockbuster. It was so non-cynical that it struck me on a level, all I can describe it as it brought me joy.
Don't everybody thank me at once. Anyway, we should be at all around about 0200 hours.
Love Doug TeNapel. He was in the second episode of Electric Playground. Crazy guy.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Taking a look back. Listen, let's take another look back. Time to go to the movies. Vic and Marissa have teamed up, put on their 3D glasses. Here's the Peanuts movie.
Whoa. Good grief. Snoopy and the gang are back. I suppose we should say Charlie Brown and the gang are back because we really are following Mr. Charlie Brown. This is the Peanuts movie. I wasn't really sure I wanted a Peanuts movie. I wasn't even sure I needed a Peanuts movie. But you know what? Now that it's here, I'm glad that it's arrived.
Yeah, Fox made this thing, and I'm sure that there were a lot of executives wondering if the world needed a Peanuts movie. But there's something about these characters that Charles M. Schultz crafted that have endured, and they have passed on from generation to generation. I've read a few stories to my daughter, and she's got, somewhat introduced to these things. She's seen a couple of the holiday specials, but this is new. This is a 3D revitalized kind of fresh, best technology of its class, kind of looking at the 2D designs of Charlie Brown and Company, and they did a pretty damn good job with the visuals in this movie.
Yeah, shoot it, Charlie Brown, shoot it! How about that, Charlie Brown. You're the star of the school now.
This is almost made for people with short attention spans because there are no long beats in this movie. We're onto a new little comedy gag here, we're in a comedy gag there, and then we have Snoopy and Woodstock coming in. And
well, the only long beats really for me were with Snoopy because, you know, we want to see Snoopy in his own...
This World War I flying ace, yes.
He loves being a flyer. He loves taking that house of his to the sky. So we had to have a story with him doing that, which is cute because they tied that story in with Charlie Brown's story. I loved all the imagination here as well, and that really took place in Snoopy's story, but it did go on for a little bit too long for me, and that was the only thing that took a while.
One of the things that bugged me is there's too much slapstick, there's too much sort of cream pie in the face type gaggy stuff in this thing, and they kind of use that over and over again, like people getting shoes flying up in the air and their face is all dirty and they've got to clean their face. That sort of beat kept happening over and over again. It kind of drove me crazy a little bit. But the movie does really have a great heart, and I really liked that they definitely found their way towards the end of it because Charlie Brown is such a broken character. He's such a character that just hates himself. And that's really examined in this movie. And there's some kind of nasty dialogue between Lucy and Charlie Brown that's been a part of the comic series forever. And that's, you know, it's almost hard to hear some of those words in 2015.
Sure.
But the movie finds its redemption, and Charlie Brown does too in this movie.
Honestly, Vic, the story is so charming and it's so relatable on so many levels, not just for children, but for adults as well, because a lot of us have that self-loathing quality, or you feel like you're never good enough. And this movie has such a great moral at the end of it, because really, if you're a good person, that shouldn't matter. And I love that story was conveyed. I love that the message was conveyed, and I love the charming world of Peanuts. And I forgot about it. I forgot about Peanuts, and especially for the younger audience that doesn't know it at all. This is a great reminder of all of that. So I'm happy they played it safe and they didn't go too far into a crazy story. It's a story that we can all understand and wrap our minds around. I'm really happy with my experience. What are you scoring the Peanuts movie?
I had a good time for sure, and I had some full-on laughs and almost choked up a little bit, but I did want it to be a little bit better. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. How about you?
Well, yeah, it gets an 8 for me as well.
Okay.
Oh man, that was so cool, but let me ask you something.
Okay.
Was Pigpen's cloud actually in 3D? Was it coming at you?
Yeah, it was. Very cool effect.
Are you sure it wasn't just Marissa's cloud? Because she has one. Oh yeah, I said it.
Doesn't have a cloud. It's true. You know, it's James Bond week. We've got a review of Spectre later in the show, but right now it's time to take a look back at Goldeneye 007 for the N64.
Goldeneye on the N64. Now,
Sweet game.
to me, Goldeneye is the best N64 game out. I put it above Mario, I put it above Wave Race. I mean, the texture maps, the graphics on this thing are excellent. Now, and I usually do not like the Doom Quakes. I don't go, you know, bonkers for them like everyone else does. This game I did, the sound effects are just amazing. Of course, you got the whole Bond story and the characters there. It's so excellent. The missions are well thought out. The intros and little cut sequences are excellent. I would totally give a 9.4 to Goldeneye.
Wow, that's
absolutely.
A high score. Yeah, I love the game too. I think it's better than Turok, and I loved Turok. There's a lot more complexity in this game. The graphics are incredible. It's easy to see that the second generation Nintendo 64 games have got some killer visual. And it's true to the genre. I think it's the best Bond game that's ever been produced. And the 4-player options are amazing. Really, really cool.
I like the way you can take the gun and when you hit different ricochets, you hear the sound. And I mean, you can like ricochet the wall, go back, and the bullet holes will still be in there, or the wooden crates, and you get the different sounds and everything. It's excellent.
And all the weapons. Yeah, I'd give it a 9.5.
Vic, were you alive when that game came out?
No.
It was just like...
No, that was footage of my dad right there. Stick around. We've got our review of Spectre after this. Welcome back to EP Daily. This is the moment I've been waiting for this week.
Circles. Sexy lady.
Oh my God. Here's our review of Spectre.
Ah, 007.
Q?
Please excuse the mess. Everything's a little bit up in the air, what with the changes and all.
If you ever get the chance to go to the movies with Victor Lucas, please take it. Last night, he and I went to see the latest James Bond film. It is called Spectre.
All right.
So we were all excited when we sat down, mostly because you're excited.
I'm very excited.
But we know
I'm a
that
Bondaholic.
the first 10 minutes of every Bond film, lots of action. Was there enough action for you?
What were you doing there?
I was taking some overdue holiday.
Well, I did like it. I thought the Day of the Dead setting was really terrific. And, you know, if you've been reading any of the Hollywood gossip stuff based on the leaked emails, you know that Mexico paid a pretty penny for them to shoot in Mexico.
It looks great. The city looks...
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
they did
really
a great
beautiful.
job. It was like this huge parade type sequence and then
Should
all
we
kinds
go
of
there for a
destruction.
little vacation?
I don't think it's exactly like that. The bar was set so high with Casino Royale that
So high.
you can't forget the opening to Casino Royale, and you want that to be topped every single time they do that. It was amazing. Yeah.
I'm like, what are those guys doing? Are they walking on the moon? And here you get something that feels maybe a little more prosaic, something that feels a little more cliche in the action genre.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about the plot of the film. There's some sort of large, ambiguous, ominous kind of looming
What's their name?
evil Spectre.
No.
I think it's Spectre, Rick.
You must know by now that the 00 program is officially dead. Which leads me to speculate exactly why you came. So, James, why did you come?
I came here to kill you.
And I thought you came here to die.
Well, it's all a matter of perspective.
They want to make the humanness of the agents irrelevant because they now have cameras everywhere, and so they don't need agents anymore. They can just take pictures and they can police everything.
You don't know what you're doing.
It's not personal. It's the future. And you're not.
And that, I feel like, is an interesting plot, but I feel like I've seen that plot before, and I feel like The Dark Knight had the same plot. I feel like there's been so many movies.
They borrowed from The Dark Knight in the last Bond movie, and they borrowed from The Dark Knight again this time. But it's a little more sinister than just watching, because Spectre's kind of, the idea is to create fear and then to capitalize on that fear. And so that's what they're doing, is they're observing everybody through a bunch of police forces, undercover agencies and things like that. And then they're also capitalizing on terrorist explosions and things like that all over the world. So it is pretty dark and grotesque, and it feels like a great villain for Bond to fight against.
They keep threatening, like, that's it.
I have a question.
Well, what's that?
Why, given every other possible option, does a man choose the life of a paid assassin?
Well, it was that or the priesthood.
That's it for the 00 agency. We don't need humans anymore. Now we can just police it all over the world. And so Bond, on the cusp of irrelevancy, has to make his case for being relevant still.
Yes, and that was kind of the thread of Skyfall as well. He was a little too old for this BS with Skyfall, and this has been interesting because this is the first time in the Bond milieu where we're seeing sequels based on original ideas that were crafted in Casino Royale with Daniel Craig's first appearance. And that's some of the stuff that I really liked. I think that was the gutsiest part of a Spectre being developed. I love the world that they crafted around Daniel Craig, but it does feel like you could feel the edges and the corners of it this time, you know? I liked it, though. I like this movie.
Well, I can tell you that I don't trust you.
Well, then you have impeccable instincts.
If you don't leave now, we'll die together.
I can think of worse ways to go.
What are you going to give it?
You like a lot of things.
I do like a lot of
Is
things.
your 9's coming out?
No, it's not a 9. It's going to get an 8 from me. How about you?
Okay. For me, it's going to get a 6.
Okay.
Take that.
James Bond will be back, but will it be Daniel Craig?
Will it be Daniel Craig? And listen, we've got a Twitter question to answer after this.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It's time now for the best part of the show. It's the Twitter question of the day. This one comes from Mr. Osborne. He's at Phantom C Driver. It's Phantom RC Driver. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. He says, Victor Lucas, sure would like a Red Dead 3 and an LA Noire 2 for this next gen. What are the chances?
Well, unfortunately, I have no pull with Rockstar because I would love those as well. But I do know that we're getting more Red Dead. I know that that's happening. They've teased little glimpses of of imagery and stuff like that already. So I suspect that we're going to know about that in 2016. I don't think we're going to get more noir for a while.
Or ever.
Yeah, that kind of blew up in everybody's face with that game. It was, I think, a successful game, but it took forever to build, and there was so much resentment and bad blood with the developers.
And I had so many glitches in my copy of that game, I can't even tell you. But I would be interested to see. I would be interested to see them take characters from another TV show that we like and put them in another video game. It doesn't have to be LA Noire, but it could be something else. I'd like to watch that.
That was a phenomenal game. Hey, listen, that was a great question. If you've got one for us, you want to get caught up on the show, head to epn.tv.
We've got more coming for you in the next episode of EP Daily, including a look at Cuphead.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Asphalt 8 Airborne, which you can play on your Android or iOS device for free right now.
Cuphead is hard because my brother and I grew up with games like this, so we want to continue that retro style of game. That's the only reason.
We also need to talk about the fact that you're from Saskatchewan.
Yes.
I am from Saskatchewan. What happened to you as a child in Saskatchewan that you felt like you wanted to punish other people?
Well, two things happened. We grew up in Regina, so there wasn't much else to do besides play video games, which is a true
Regina's
fact.
terrible. Regina's terrible. Okay.
And the other thing is, our parents had a bunch of 1930s cartoons for us as we grew up. So we fell in love with them, and when we decided we want to actually get into indie game design, we wanted to merge our favorite kind of visual look with games.
Because it does look pretty fantastic, I must say, enough to just draw a lot of people in that maybe have never played a video game before. So you're going to fool them into thinking they can play this thing, and then they're going to jump in and realize that, oh, maybe they can't. Is there like an easier setting I can hit?
We're working on an easy mode, but it'll be different from the main game, but it'll still give people a good experience of Cuphead.